So we're going to go ahead and break down my running technique, give you guys an example of what we do at the Fit to Run seminars. This is essentially what we do with each one of the athletes that are there, is we go through and we watch everybody run and kind of look at the goods and the bads and compare them to some really, really good runners and see what we see. It gives us the idea, you have to know what's happening in your body when you run if you're going to go through things to try to correct and build strength in certain areas and increase mobility in certain areas. You have to know what's happening when you run. So here's a look at what I do. So with me, I know right stance is typically my problem side. So let's pause it there, right mid stance before that left foot starts to turn over. And let's take a peek at what's happening here with my right side. So you'll see that I go into almost a reverse Trendelenburg when my right foot hits the ground. You're going to see my hip kind of pop out to the side, which causes the hip to actually adduct. You'll see this kind of get in tighter to midline there. You see everything kind of collapse. But what's happening is this hip is jutting out, right? It's jutting out that way, and it's creating this weird line of torque through there, right? So because that angle now changes, it puts more stress on my knee. It changes the angle of pull of the kneecap as it runs through there. Maybe puts a little tension in the IT band. It'd be real easy to see that from the front. We'll show that to you. Right? But we want to be able to correct that. The other thing you're going to see with this is you're going to see my trunk side bend. So you'll see right trunk side bend associated with mid stance. You see this kind of like crunch right through here, right? My trunk kind of side bends that direction. So all that stuff, compensation, you wonder why your back hurts. Can you imagine doing that for 5 miles, right? It's going to put some increased tension through there. So we want to be able to correct those things once we see them. You also see when I hit left stance, so there's my left stance. You're going to see how that foot kind of, there's this weird little rotation, how I cross over midline. And I think a lot of that has to do with what's happening at right stance. So because I can't control that single leg stance position, I end up over rotating and we see some weird compensations as my foot come through. I can tell you that I tend to kick the inside of my down leg, right? So when I'm done running, I'll have all kinds of mud on the inside of my shin, and there it is live, right? You can see that crossover midline, how I'm not able to maintain that, not pulling my trunk through well. So there's that. Now let's go ahead and forward it. Let's forward me through. Get me to the end and back here. And now let's look at it from the front. So there's left stance from the front. You may see just a little bit of kind of a hip. My hips drop down just a smidge there. It's not huge, but maybe a little bit. If I'm getting real picky, there's some weird rotational things that you might be able to see at my tibia, but for the sake of what we're doing, not too big a deal there. And then we come to right stance. Wham. There it is, right? So there's that hip popping out. You can see my trunk kind of get a little side bent through there. You see that hip jut out that way, right? And because my hip's that way, you see the increase in line through there, right? So it ends up with some interesting tension through the knee, through my midfoot. So definitely something that I've been working on since the last seminar. Here it is again, right there. That step's actually probably a little worse, right? We see a lot more of that, the trunk curvature through there. Again, you see the hip jut out, increase that angle through there. So that's a big problem of mine, and I've been doing different drills to work on that. We've been doing more side planking, actually, to try to control that rib cage in stance. I've been doing a lot of single leg RDL, single leg hip hinges, trying to keep that alignment between my rib cage and my pelvis as my hip starts to hinge, working on extending the hip through there, and then transferring it to marching and skipping drills, right? So getting off the floor and doing some standing drills with that. So we go through a lot of that in the seminar as a way to start to work on some of the things you're going to see in each other. And that's what's fun. You get to watch yourself, you get to watch some other people. I love the group setting for that. You start to develop that eye, that feeling for what we're looking for, and it's just a fun way to do it. So, at the seminar, we'll film everybody. We'll film everybody from front to back. We'll film everybody from side to side. So we'll see a side view as well, and break all of those things down. And then we'll go through some of the corrective techniques for some of the more common problems that we see, and we'll take everybody through that. So it's a real nice event. I think there's a ton of value there, and it's a good time, right? We all have a good time with it. So hope to see you at one of the upcoming seminars soon. Thanks, guys.